Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, Episode 7, and this is called Don't Rock the Boat. Now, this episode was a lot better than the previous episodes, in my opinion. Potomac still has some work to do, but it was a little bit more of a fun episode. Last episode was fun too, but this one I think was a little bit better, and we got to some of the meat and potatoes of some of the issues that the ladies are having. And we're gonna, I guess, as the season progresses, we'll find out if some of these issues will be resolvable or not. But anyway, this episode does continue where they left off because this was a to-be continued episode with Candace trying to console Robin in the car. They're on their way to, I guess it's a saloon. I'm not sure what they were going to. So throughout the episode, because a lot of the episode is at this establishment, I don't know what to call it, but they're basically going there to play chicken-ish bingo. And yeah. Anyway, and they're in Austin. So this is day 2 of Austin. So yeah. And right away, Candace and Robin, they get into it. And child, it's crazy because from Robin's point of view, she's upset because she doesn't like how it was kind of implied that her speaking about Juan's lawsuit is the reason why he got fired. And that's not what Candace said at all. She was trying to explain, and so Candace is literally trying to defend herself and explain that it just wasn't smart that she even brought it up. She didn't really imply that. Really, it was kind of Wendy who implied that, quiet as it's kept, not really Candace. But with Robin, there's really no reasoning with her at this point. And I'll explain later on in the episode. But long story less long, she kind of has this tendency, and I've noticed this, where she mixes all the negative words that everyone says and puts it together as one, and she's saying Candace said all this. When it's given to Lulu. It's a little delusional. That's not what's happening. And Candace is literally still trying to console her and trying to reason with her, and there's no reasoning with her. But while they're there, they pull up to the establishment, and this looks like a honky-tonk establishment, if you know what I mean. And based off this cast, it's not really most of the people who are in this cast scene. Ashley's literally the only one's excited about this. No one else is. And it's just like, producers, please let this be the last time Ashley plans a trip. What in the white girl? I'm so confused. All of her things, there's lacking. It's just so dry and basic. It's so basic. It's not really, if I offended anyone saying one, the white girl, but it's just so, basic. There's nothing to it. Why are they in Austin, Texas? And it's a housewife show. And out of all the franchises, this is literally the only franchise where they don't go out of the country other than Mexico. And I'm sorry, that don't really count, in my opinion. Going to Mexico is equivalent to going to Canada. For us who are in the States. It's not really going anywhere. It's... Because you don't really need even you don't even need a full-on passport. You just need a passport card to go to these places. And actually back in the day, you didn't even need a passport to go to Mexico or Canada. So for me, it's just kind of what are we doing? What are we doing? But anyway. So Robin's literally losing it in the car, and she's saying we're not friends with Candace. And Candace doesn't try to engage any further, and she's like, okay, if we're not friends, we're not friends. You're the one who said it. And honestly, it's so confusing, this argument, in a way, because Robin, and I don't know if she goes to therapy or not, but I think she needs it. Seriously. Because the way she doesn't articulate her emotions well, it's kind of sad. I actually do feel really bad for Robin, um, because it's just like, and I'll explain why, especially towards the end of this episode. I do feel bad for Robin, to be honest. Now, let's not get twisted. She did put herself in this position to begin with. Like, she really shouldn't have even said any of that on her podcast. Like, she shouldn't have done that. Like, if she would have just kept her mouth shut and not said anything about that, the only thing she would have to deal with is, unfortunately, the other thing with her husband losing the job. That still would have been something that would have been brought up. But I don't think there would have been as much gasoline or steam if she wouldn't have brought up the other things. So I just wish she would take some accountability for that piece and that part that, and she won't. But it also, I mean, it makes sense because like she's not emotionally mature, and most of the housewives, that's kind of part of why they're entertaining. You know, they all dabble in a little bit of delusion, and they all kind of lack accountability in some ways, and they don't really react like an emotionally mature person, because that would not be as entertaining to watch. We know that. But anyway, so but Candace is like, I'm not going to engage in it further. If you want to be friends, that's what it is. And part of me just thinks that I think Robin really wanted her to gravel and beg for the friendship. And again, it's very immature. But anyway, so they're at the spot. They get inside the spot, and it is disgusting. It's so gross because the game, Chicken-ish, is literally that. Bingo. There's these chickens that are in a coop, and the coop or the floor is a bingo board. And wherever the chicken poops at is a number. Ashley, go away with me with this. What is this? No. Just no. This is so gross. And so Ashley in her confessional is so proud of herself because she's so into it, while everyone else is just looking like disgusted. They're just disgusted. And I'm them. I'm disgusted by it. And Karen especially was cracking me up in this scene, because Karen, we already know she don't do the dirty bird. She calls it dirty bird. And Karen, I eat chicken every once in a while, but it's not a regular thing for me at all, because okay, can we have a small talk here? Karen and I think we're on the same page because Karen grew up on a farm, and we'll kind of elaborate a little bit more on that in this recap. But I didn't necessarily grow up on a farm, but like my grandparents, like my dad did grow up on a farm, and so therefore whenever we would go to my grandma's house, it was at a farm. And I hate chickens. Like, I actually hate that bird. Like, I hate it. Like, I had a bird run after me when I was a little kid. I accidentally fell in chicken-ish before, and they're just disgusting, foul animals. In my opinion, I've never been someone who liked chickens, like, ever. But I'll eat some eggs now. That I will do. I will eat some eggs. But chickens, no. Miss me with that. So Giselle notices that clearly Robin is bothered, and Mia explains to Giselle what happened, because Robin is still very much bothered and not doing okay, and she's still crying, which this is why I literally do feel bad for Robin, because you can tell she literally broke down, because Robin don't cry. Robin is very much from that school of showing emotion is bad. Vulnerability is a weakness. She's from that. And you see it towards the end of why she's like that, of this episode. But because she's like that, she let everything that's been happening followed in, so she's just breaking down. I don't think all of her crying and stuff is even necessarily about Candace. I think she's using Candace a little bit as a scapegoat. But I think for me looking at her, I feel like she's reacting at the whole situation as a whole. It's a lot. Because especially the job thing, that wasn't something she could control. That's something different. Anyway, so and for those who've seen the seasons before, Robin has a lot of residual issues with Juan when it comes to the finances of it all, because she lost Juan's money in a bad investment with one of their friends. I say friends because clearly if someone does that to you, they're not your friend. And so I think she still carries on guilt from that she lost all their money and they kind of went broke. And so now this time around when they're doing all right, it's actually because of Robin, the show, and all the things she did outside the show. So the roles have reversed because Juan, is a retired NBA player. So, yeah. Anyway, so Mia states, so while all this is happening, Mia and Giselle just kind of go in attack mode on Candace. They go in attack mode on Candace. And which isn't right. I mean, because Candace, as Robin's crying, Candace starts crying too. And Mia says, like, look at her making it about her. And it's like, Mia, stop it. And even like, Wendy stepped in. She's like, now, girl, stop that. That's not what it is. And because Giselle does not like Candace at all, she's like, this is all your fault. You're not her friend. This, that, and this. And so basically gassing Robin to not resolve the issues and not be friends with her. Hence, continuing this divide within this group. So we're seeing who the true person who's dividing the group. Unlike what Karen said the episode before, we know it's Giselle. Everyone knows that it's Giselle that's doing all this. She's a puppet master. But anyway, so while all this is happening and Wendy has Candace's back like that, which is beautiful, Candace, because she's crying, she can't really control what she's saying either. And for those, okay, time out. For those, because I have seen some commentary of people's thoughts on Candace crying in this episode, and I wasn't going to let it influence me. I was like, no, my views are going to be my views on it. If y'all seen previous seasons, Candace cries at a drop of a hat with everything. She is a sensitive wordsmith, okay? That's why she reacts the way she reacts. She's a reactor. So she gets you together quickly after you do something crazy to her. But then also, not so much this season, because I think she's trying to tone it down, because for obvious reasons. But that's how she typically has been in the past. She is a reactor and she's a very emotional person. And so I don't think she was crying because she was making it about her. I think she was crying because even though she took that L in the car saying, okay, if you want to be friends, that's fine, she's not really okay with it. It's very clear Candace still wants to be friends with Robin, but I think Candace is coming to the realization that can never happen as long as Giselle's in the picture. With all this commotion, we have basically Robin, she excuses herself and leaves and goes outside. And then this is where we see she's sitting on the curb. Mia tries to go after her to talk to her, and no, Robin's like, leave me alone. So she's sitting on the curb, she's crying and just trying to get her emotions together. Because I think she was really embarrassed that she fell apart in front of the group. And instead of being vulnerable, just the thing that frustrates me about Robin is her vulnerability would really be her superpower, and I just wish she knew that. Instead of just being like, I'm gonna be strong, that's not doing her any favors. And because she's so emotionally mature, she doesn't see that that's not doing her any favors. And I'm actually speaking kind of even from my own perspective. I used to be like that. I used to be someone who would never let people see me sweat or cry or any of that. Like, it was not going to happen. And now, in my older years, if I cry, I cry. It is what it is. Like now, I'm actually more like Candace. I cry a drop of a hat these days. Before, I used to just excuse myself and people would never see me cry. But now I have no problems, no quims doing it. And I will state exactly what's bothering me at the moment. I don't hold it in. I don't bottle it in. Because it's not good for you. So what's the benefit of doing that? And I just really wish Robin would know that. And I just wish Robin would have a little bit more self-respect and love for herself. And also realize, accountability is not a weakness. And saying you're wrong is not a weakness. Crying is not a weakness. Like all the things that equal vulnerability is a strength. But you've let your friend Giselle influence you because that is how Giselle views it. But you also let someone else influence you to think that too, because you're around people who tell you the opposite. Because quiet as kept, those people who are around you that tell you the opposite are stunting your growth. And if you were to just get rid of those people, I feel like you would be so much more successful. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get more into that as we go. So she's on the curb though. And Mia's just out there just standing there. And as Mia's out there just standing there, because she went after her right away, Wendy, basically says, look at her just trying to go for a moment. And I don't know if I agree or not, but I don't know what Mia's intent is. I think there is definitely an alliance, but I don't know what her intent is. Like, I don't know if she really was bonding with Robin a couple days before, or if she's doing this to get more camera time because she doesn't really have anything going on right now. I don't know. All I know is, though, I really do feel bad for Robin. And I think it wasn't the accusations of him cheating that really broke her down. It's the fact that she is it feels like she's reliving what happened years ago when she lost all the money. I feel like she's reliving it, but now it's reversed. So she's beating herself up all over again because she never really, I don't think she ever resolved everything that happened originally when the money was gone. Even though we find out later on the money isn't really gone yet. We'll get into that later. So while this is happening outside, inside one of the employees brings a chicken close to the table and no one wants to go near it. It is quite comical. Karen and her expressions, by the way, Karen's been saving this season. I hope y'all know that. If Karen was not on this show, I probably would have turned it off. Karen has been saving this show for me. Because Karen, her commentary is just chef's kiss. But anyway, so everyone's disgusted by the idea of touching his chicken, minus Ashley. Ashley really wants to touch a chicken, and then she touches it, and then Karen's completely disgusted. And right after she touches a chicken, Ashley touches her face and then her hair. I almost gagged. I'm like, that is gross. A chicken's called a dirty bird for a reason. They're really, really gross. Ew. I don't know if anyone else saw that, but I caught that right away. I almost gagged. I was like, ugh, that's disgusting. And then later on, she's like, oh, I should go wash my hands. I'm like, you should wash your hands before you touch your face and your hair. Gross. And you can tell I would not have agreed to doing any of this. Like, hell to the no. I hate chickens. I really... Karen and I were on the same page on that. I really, absolutely hate chickens. So then, while all this is happening, Giselle does go outside to check up on Robin afterwards. And Giselle immediately, she's like, why is she sitting on the curb? And then, Mia explains she just wanted to be left alone. And then immediately Giselle's speaking for Robin of how she handles things and all that. And it's just wow, you really are the puppet master. So you're now telling Mia how Robin is and this, that, and this, and that. typically, no. Where you do? Never mind. I was gonna shoot some bail, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. And Giselle's basically just making it about her and kind of adding more gasoline to what's going on, saying, see, this is why I didn't want to be near Candace. And it's just kind of like, Giselle, the fact that you are trying to use anything and every reason to not want to film with Candace is driving me nuts. When literally all of this is happening, like literally all of it is Giselle's fault. Like, none of this would have been a thing if it wasn't for Giselle and her wacky accusations that she made on someone else's husband yet again, because she literally does this every season. And only this time it went too far and it looks away because your good Judy has something going on in real life behind the scenes. It looks away. Anyway, I'm trying not to get upset about it, but anyway. So while Giselle's talking to me about this, Candace is inside explaining why she's giving up on the friendship on Robin based upon, she's like, I can't be friends with someone who considers that lady, aka Giselle, a good friend of theirs. Which I kind of don't disagree. I would have a hard time being friends with someone who's really close friends with someone I don't mess with. I would find it kind of hard. Not impossible, because I've always tried to do that. I try to be Karen Huger. And for those who know me, y'all know I try to ride the fence and try to give everyone a chance even though they don't deserve it. But it's really, really hard to do that. Like, unless you truly are a compartmentalizer, which I kind of am a little bit, which is not the best trait, but sometimes it is. But anyway, so Candace is explaining that inside, why she's giving up on the friendship. And y'all already know, I'm not going to keep saying it. The common denominator in all this is Giselle. Like, this is the reason why all this is happening. And Wendy is offering some grace and states that she should try to resolve it with Robin. And she even states in her confessional, she's like, look, it's clear Robin and I, we don't really mess with each other. But they clearly are both hurt. And in her opinion, she thinks they both have a real friendship. And I was with you until I wasn't, Wendy. I think it was a real friendship for Candace. I don't think it was a real friendship for Robin. And the reason why I say this, as long as Giselle is in the picture, there will be no real friendship with anyone else. Robin's loyalty is to Juan and Giselle. That's the order. Juan, then Giselle. Everyone else, it doesn't matter as much. That is what it is. And yeah, if Giselle wasn't on the show, I would be on your side on that. Like, yeah, she probably would have a friendship with her, but because Giselle's on the show, it's not going to happen like that. We all know that. So yeah, I feel bad for Candace also, just because it's clear that she's hurt because she lost a friendship. And I think she's coming to the realization that she's going to lose a friendship. And it's just never going to be the same. And I think she knows in her heart of hearts that the friendship's over with. But I also do think, knowing Candace and how she has been previous seasons, she is going to try again to mend fences. But I don't know if that's going to happen, based off of what I said already. But anyway, so while Wendy is consoling her, we have Aneka, who's there the whole entire time. Which, by the way, I'm just going to say this real quick before I go on to what else happens here. I didn't realize Aneka was really here this whole episode. Because I hate to say this, and I've been trying to give her a chance. I don't think she has a good personality outside of her having a beef with Wendy. I think she just kind of exists. Like, she's not, there's nothing about her where I'm just like, ooh, more. what's going on now? She just comes off super dry. Like very, very dry. And yeah. So, but and I'm going to continue to try to give her a chance, but child, I'll be honest. I saw the preview for the next episode and I'm over it because the way her only storyline really is her beef with Wendy that she basically made a thing. Yeah. This can be your one season, hon. You don't need to come back. I'm just saying. Based off of the next episode. So yeah, spoiler alert. I should have said at the beginning. Spoiler alert. I saw a preview for next episode and I think my chances that I was going to try to give NECA, it's over with. Because we're going back to the well that I don't want to go back to. Of the Wendy and NECA issues. That should not even been an issue. But anyway, so while Wendy's consoling Candace, in her confessional, NECA's like saying like that Wendy is being manipulating Candace, and basically feeling a certain way. And it's just kind of like, girl, you just got here. You don't even know any of the situation other than what you saw on TV. Just like the rest of us. Sit down. You barely go here. And the fact that you even have the audacity and gall to have a POV of something that ain't about you at all, and you know nothing about, and you don't even know the dynamic of Candace and Wendy's friendship. Because they actually do hang out with each other outside the show. So, Giselle... I'm sorry, I cracked up. So back outside, Giselle is looking at Robin because Robin gets off the curb and just starts walking further away from where they're at. And she's like, I gotta walk after her? And why did Giselle, when she was walking, she literally looked like one of those chickens walking? How are you wearing those high-ass stilettos and you can't walk in them? And I was laughing because I ain't gonna lie, like I'm jonesing on her, but I should probably don't say too much because for those who saw me recently, over the summer, I made the attempt, this is after I broke my toe earlier this year, so it was really dumb. It was such a horrible idea. I made the attempt to try to walk in stilettos. And mind you, I haven't worn stilettos in years because y'all already know, for those who check out the rest of my channel, I'm a distance runner. I run all the time. My feet are not meant for the heels. And also, I'm 6 foot. I'm kind of a stallion. So I don't really need the heels. If I wear the heels, I'm like 6'4" now. Yeah, so I'm not going to be doing that. But I made the attempt at my friend's wedding to wear heels. And I had my backup flats in my purse just in case. And those backup flats went on within 5 minutes of me being there. Because I literally looked like Giselle walking. Looking like literally a bird trying to walk in stilettos. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this. And then at the wedding that I was going to, there were stairs too. I was like, oh no. I will end up in the ER. I better take these things off. Like, you gotta know when to hold and know when to fold them when it comes to the heels of it all. And the fact that you're on national TV and you can't walk in those heels, honey, what are we doing? So sorry, I got a good kiki out of that. And so they go after Robin. And then while all this is happening, Wendy, Karen, and Candace go outside to talk more about what took place in the car. Because Karen wants to know more in detail what happened. And Wendy explains it all to Karen. Karen actually agrees with Candace's thoughts in the situation. Because again, all it was Candace said, I I didn't think that was the best move or idea for her to talk about a legal matter on TV that is not resolved. I don't know. I feel like most people with common sense would understand that that's not a good idea to do. You don't really discuss pending litigations or issues on national TV, especially without any representation to talk for you. I would tread lightly and not say anything and just literally just simply say, I can't discuss this because this is pending. And that's all Candace was trying to say. And she was even like kind of going back to what she has going on. She's like, I literally have something going on right now. And I'm definitely not going to say anything about or speak on it because the man who's suing me is still married to the person in the other room. And I'm like, exactly. Why potentially incriminate yourself further by speaking on something on national TV, especially considering what Candace's lawsuit is even about. It's about defamation of character. So that's risk for her to basically do more, and he wins. Makes sense to me. So anyway, Karen does agree, and she states in her confessional that Candace was literally just speaking what we were thinking, but she was. And the fact that Robin clearly doesn't want to hurt Juan. And I think that's the other thing I'm thinking. I think there's guilt. There's a lot of guilt that she's dealing with. Robin is. But towards the end, Candace does kind of calm down. She says that she does want to talk with Robin, to try to resolve things one more time, which I knew that was going to eventually happen because Candace be forgiving. If she don't do nothing else, she forgives. She gives all the chances. But anyway, so while all this is happening, Nneka and Ashley are still inside. Candace finally gets herself together, walks back in, because Candace is crying this whole entire time. And by the way, she gets herself together only to be back inside crying some more. And I don't know if this is just like some editing that went weird, but I'm like, how is Candace still crying? How much water does she drink? I don't know. I'm just like, she's still crying. And this scene was a hot mess because Mia, Giselle, and Robin, they do end up leaving. They just go back to the hotel. But while all this is happening, there's more chickens out of the coop. And Karen is refusing to go back inside. She's like, no, dirty birds everywhere. And then Candace is still crying where these birds are just everywhere. You just see feathers everywhere. And then Wendy actually touches one of the birds and starts getting really, really into it. And she's like, and she shades the ladies because she's like, I'm about to play some bingo. And it was funny because it was like, out of everyone, I didn't think Wendy was going to finally buy into it. So she brought in just like Nneka and Ashley were like all in on it. And she shades the ladies in her confessional. She's like, since the chickens that she came with don't know how to act, these are my new friends now. Which I did get a good cackle out of that. And Karen is just the comedic relief of comedic reliefs because Karen, her facial expressions and the fact that she clearly is disgusted by these birds. And then she states to Ashley her areola's itching. And Ashley's like, how are your boobs itching? And then in the confessional, Karen is just being just hilarious. It's just being hilarious. She's just like, oh, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's making me sick because Karen, I forgot to mention at the beginning, Karen's claiming this whole entire time she's allergic to chickens. Which, maybe you can be allergic to chickens. But I think she's just disgusted by chickens more than allergic. I think she's putting like some sauce on it. Because Karen got a little bit of a lying problem too here and there. Even though I love her, she got a lying problem too. So while this is happening, we see the footage of Mia, Giselle, and Robin in the car on the ride home. And Mia's basically just making fun. Candace is crying. It's like, why was she crying when you were crying? And then Giselle's adding more gasoline to this and basically plotting and trying to make her plan come to play. Because y'all already know she's trying to ice out Candace. And so she's trying to make it more a thing. And Robin's blaming Candace about the cyberbullying because we found out that Robin has some cyberbullying after all this happened. Which I believe that, and I do feel bad for her for that because I think it's wrong when that happens to anyone. But I still haven't heard, not yet, that any of the things that she did causes it. That caused any of this. Interesting, right? Right. Anyway, the rest of the ladies are still at the place. They're dancing and having a good time. That's where things end. So it's day 3 of the trip, and Mario, Karen's brother, calls to wish her a happy birthday, and it's a shaky happy birthday. He's like, happy birthday. Like, he's literally singing like that. I'm just like, okay. And then Candace calls Chris, her husband, and explains everything that happened between her and Robin. Oh, side note, I forgot to mention, when Candace and Robin were going back and forth in the van, Robin also mentioned that she was hurt that Chris was doing interviews about the situation as well. Basically calling him a husband that's gossipy. Like, she tried to throw that in Candace's face. And it's just, and this is why I just want to be on your side, Robin, but I can't all the way because you're forgetting that your friend is the reason why they are so upset. Because instead of focusing on what was really going on, your friend decides to make up a story about how, and pretty much not saying it, but making it seem like Chris was attempting to essay her. Like, that was what she did. And she's not, and neither, and she hasn't taken accountability. She hasn't apologized. And then even earlier, I think it was 2 episodes ago, Giselle lied more and said that he invited her to his bedroom. I'm like, your story changes constantly on this because you're lying, number 1. And number 2, you still are doing the most and still lying and trying to break up like a happy home. Shame. But anyway, so that's happening. And, Candace just states she's exhausted. So back to Candace talking to Chris. She basically recaps Chris and everything that took place in the van, and she just says she's exhausted. While this is happening, Giselle enters Karen's room to wish her a happy birthday. The triple 20s, and I love that because I'm about to be turning double 20 soon. I'm going to use that, like double 20. Anyway, so she gives her a gift, and Karen was super surprised and pleasantly surprised about it, but still shade her in good old Karen fashion. And she's like, this is giving hotel package stuff, which I agree, because what she gave her was a small bottle of champagne. It didn't even look like a champagne. It honestly looked like it was Prosecco. And then she also gave her 2 candy bars. I was like, this literally looks like something you would get at a hotel package thing. So, that's what I thought. But anyway, so, and Karen, though, is grateful. It's very clear she is. And she states in her confessional how her and Giselle came a long way. And they go through the history of their frenemy relationship, just showing past footages about them going back and forth multiple seasons. And through Giselle and Karen's conversation, it is very clear that Karen does not want to celebrate with these ladies for her birthday, and I don't blame her because they pan over to last season, which was the whole fiasco that happened in Miami, with Mia throwing a drink at Wendy and the fight almost breaking out. And then Robin saying she's TMZ and her trying to put Candace's business in blast Which, by the way, how convenient we forget that Robin did that to Candace. I'm just throwing it out there. We conveniently forgot about that. And they don't even ever show footages of her doing that. But Robin didn't do anything to anybody. See, this is why the accountability thing matters. Just saying. Anyway, so Giselle states that so after this, Giselle does state to Karen that she doesn't want to move forward with Candace. And now Giselle's reasoning is because of the colorism conversation. Well, it wasn't even the color. She said it was a colorism conversation, the complexion conversation that happened during the reunion. When we pan over to reunion and Candace just called the obvious. Giselle has privileges because colorism is real. And Giselle has a lot of European-esque features that probably protects her more than most. And Giselle now is acting so offended by this when all the other times when it's been asked why you don't forgive her, it's always been every other reason. And now you have this reason now. But anyway, so Karen does just kind of, being the peacemaker she is, she's like, yeah, I understand. I won't try to put you guys together anymore. And that's sad. It's like, if you can't resolve issues and you don't know how to resolve issues for the sake of a show, then get off the show. I'm sorry. Just leave. It doesn't make a good show to watch. But we'll see what happens here. So, but yeah. And I also kind of felt the way that Karen didn't really have Candace's back as much as she should have there. I kind of wish Karen would have given a little bit more pushback. We already know Karen is the fence, so she's not going to do that. So, Naneka's talking to Libe briefly through FaceTime. And at this point, how much we're talking about her, child, she might as well be on the show over Naneka. I'm not going to lie, I feel like she's more interesting. How much they talked about her and how much she's actually been on the show a couple times before anyway. Might as well put her on the show instead. Anyway, that was brief. And then we pan over to Mia talking to Gordon via FaceTime as well. Mia is recapping with Gordon about what happened the night before. And Gordon updates Mia about the status of the attorney and him suing his brothers about the business. And Mia still is stating that, he wants to pursue it, but she doesn't want him to pursue it because of it being family that, he's suing. And it's causing tension because he's choosing business over family. And I want to believe Mia in this, but I don't know. Do y'all believe her? Because if you're someone who really wants money and you married this man clearly for money, at least we've been presented that, would you care about how he gets the money back? Or is it you're really just trying to find a reason to exit because you know the money's gone? Anyway, so the ladies get into the car to get ready to go kayaking. And Karen and Naneka switch cars with Mia and Robin. So they're not doing the normal the people in the car anymore because of everything that happened. And it was kind of awkward, but we moved away from it very quickly. Because then all the ladies in their confessionals all share their moments about Karen and basically wish her a happy birthday. So that was cute. One of the few moments of a sense of togetherness because everyone gets along with Karen for the most part. Even Robin had something nice to say, and it was cute. And also, it's a major milestone birthday that is triple 20. So, yes, happy triple 20. And she's a spring She's a spring child as well. Karen's definitely a Taurus. She gives Taurus energy. And I love Taurus. I love Taurus women. Yeah. So anyway. So they finally do arrive at the kayak place, and everyone's getting ready to do the kayaking. Mine's Karen. Karen says she's not doing it because number one, she can't swim, and she's like, I'm not doing this. And also, it's funny because Karen's clearly over this trip of Ashley's, and she said what we've all been thinking: you should not plan any more trips for the next 2 or 3 years. And I was like, yes, I agree. No more trips. No more planning trips, Ashley. No more. You're not good at it. This is not giving Housewives at all. Anyway, so they all are kayaking together. It's a nice, fun scene. So we have Giselle and Robin, aka Batman and Robin, in a kayak together. Mia and Naneka are in the kayak together. They kind of were cracking me up because Mia, even though she gets on my nerves, she is funny. And they had this song that was cracking me up. They were like, keep them titties tight, hey, keep that booty right, hey. They had like a whole entire rolling chant, and that was a rolling chant when they were kayaking. And by the way, Mia was actually really, really good at kayaking because we find out randomly that she kayaks with her kids all the time. So she actually enjoys kayaking and she likes it. So she was one of the only few. They were the only few that were like not crashing the kayak, and they were just going all over that lake. And side note, even though I don't think this is a good trip for Housewives, this would be something I would do if I was in Austin because I am into outdoors and all that. And this was a fun scene. So out of all the scenes so far with this trip, this was probably easily my favorite because it was more, this to me was giving Austin more than anything else. I don't think any of the other stuff was really Austin. I mean, the rest of it was like a hotel, eating, and then that nasty hole in the wall place. I guess that is Austin, is super niche, but I would not be going to that. But anyway, the point remains. So they're all just, and then Wendy's in the kayak by herself. Ashley's in the kayak by herself. And they're just all having a time. And Karen's just on the side. Occasionally they will go to the dock, and Karen with red wine, which I don't know why they had red wine in the spring when it's that warm. You need to have like white wine. And Candace said the same thing, and we were like, we're here. And basically Karen is driving the boat for them. And those who don't know what driving the boat is, that means you have the bottle, you just pour it in the mouth. And she was doing that. She was like, oh, pit stop. She was calling her. She's like, I'm helping you out with your pit stop. So that was kind of funny. And then Candace eventually does go in a kayak by herself. But before that, she talks to Karen a little bit about everything that happened. And she basically thanks Karen for kind of being there and, consoling her. And Karen's like, yeah, no problem. And, yeah. So while this is happening, Giselle and Robin are all the way out on the lake in their kayak, and she's talking about how she was really upset. She went to sleep upset, and she needs to talk to Juan about everything that happened. But besides that, it was a cute little scene. Of course, Karen reiterated she'd rather be in a foreign country instead of this type of a trip, but it still was fun to watch, so I enjoyed it. Next, the ladies are heading back to the hotel, and on the way back to the hotel, we find out that Karen did finally was able to get her grandma's house along with the rest of the land. And for those who aren't familiar, she actually had a mini spinoff kind of going over the journey with her and her family in Virginia. Her family happens to live on a former plantation of theirs. So they were able to buy from the people who, were descendants of like their slave masters, and so they owned their plantation. So they actually own a plantation, which is awesome. And so the plan is, because she was able to finally buy out, I believe it was her niece that she was buying out, to be able to completely renovate it and then make it where it's kind of like a tourist destination to kind of educate people on, the things that happen there and whatnot. And that is dope. And Karen, that's one thing I love about her. She's always doing something positive. Like last episode, we find out she's still part of the SA survivors charity group, and she's still working with them. And now we find out about this. So, yeah. And this is in Surrey County, Virginia, apparently. I didn't watch a spinoff, so I'm not as familiar. But I do remember that there was a spinoff, and that's what we're speaking on. So the footage that they showed was from, I believe it was from the spinoff, actually. So that was also aired on Bravo. So while this is happening, they finally get back to the hotel and everything. And the ladies are getting ready. So while they're going to get ready for Karen's birthday celebration, the continuation of the birthday celebration, some of the ladies are at the pool or getting ready to go to the pool. And then Robin calls Juan. Robin immediately, when she talks to Juan, she talks to him about how she's waiting for the health coverage to like go onto her plan. Because, because he lost a job, that also means he lost his, health benefits. And so she's, talking to him about that. And then we also find out in Robin's confessional that they actually are financially doing okay right now because, and I wasn't familiar with this because I don't know how sports contracts or any of that goes. But apparently he signed a 15-month contract. Well, the contract was up all the way to 15 months. So he got paid based off of the whole contract and not just like, weekly salary or anything like that. So he got basically in advance because since he's tied to the contract wasn't broken. He still is that contract. Since the contract was already signed before he got fired, he still gets that money basically. And so they're good for 15 months. So nothing financially has changed that much, which that sounded kind of dumb because it should change because you don't know if he's going to get a job in 15 months. Am I the only one that's thinking that? Because I'm thinking it should change and you should probably, be a little bit more conservative about your spending and whatnot until, for a fact that he can get another job. I would pretend that 15 months is not a lot of money to like say your financial situation is still the same. That doesn't make sense at all. Like, at all. Anyway, so Robin talks to Juan about the situation, her version of it, because she's still kind of on this, she's being attacked. And especially the thing that's causing her to break down is the fact that Robin, because Candace stated that, and this is where she got it wrong. This is why I stated earlier. She's putting everyone's thoughts together. And she said that Candace, and Candace alone, said that her mentioning the lawsuit is the reason why he got fired. And that's not what she said at all. That's not what she said at all. And then Juan immediately just starts yelling and going off. And then Robin doesn't get a word in. And then he basically starts chastising her about her crying. So we're understanding now, looking at this towards the end of the episode. And for those, I mean, y'all already knew this for those who've been watching the show, but like Robin is, the fact that she keeps protecting a man who will not protect her. The fact that he cuts her off and then hangs up on her because he's upset. Even though he was the cause of a lot of this. The fact that it showed here that she doesn't even have a safe space in her home to be vulnerable. So if her best friend and partner won't even allow her to be vulnerable, and then you have her best friend on this show, I don't know if she is like this behind the scenes, is stone faced and won't cry. Where does Robin go to have a safe space to like be emotional and cry? It's clear she doesn't have it. And to me, I feel bad for her with that, but this is where the episode ends. And so it's just kind of like, I really do feel bad for Robin. And also, thank God that Juan's not here. That does conclude the episode. And y'all can tell that I like this episode a little bit more. Because there's a little bit more meat and potatoes in this episode. And we finally got away from the xenophobia of it all. Because I was over that. And unfortunately, I think it might be coming back next episode just a little bit. Because ignorance just has to stay on the show, apparently. I don't know. But anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.